Welcome to the Spice Zone. My name is BOYGOS, and today we are going to be taking a quick look at nothing. That's right, guys. We have no gameplay footage. I'm going to be talking to you in a YouTube video. I'm just going to upload whatever I want now, so that's what's going on. Okay? It's not going to be Pokemon Go every single time. In fact, most of the time, it's not going to be Pokemon Go. If only 100 of you stick with me out of the 10,000, I'll be happy with that. Because I'm just not happy making content about Pokemon Go anymore. It's just not only about Pokemon Go. My life isn't just only about Pokemon Go. I gotta talk about Tales of the Jedi. I have to talk about Tales of the Jedi. I would say that it is probably the most adult-friendly Star Wars show that we've gotten in a really long time. That is actually an anthology series that takes place throughout different periods of the Star Wars timeline. So we have the first episode, which I believe takes place either after Phantom Menace and before Attack of the Clones, or before Phantom Menace entirely. Oh wait, yeah, I don't think there's any like returning characters in the first one, so it's hard for us to get a grasp of what the timeline is. And fans of Ahsoka Tano will want to pay attention to this series. Ahsoka Tano is my favorite Star Wars character. I know that's maybe a hot take, like, for older people, but I think people my age generally like Ahsoka Tano quite a bit. We kind of see her as our Star Wars protagonist. So I don't know. I think like Disney's doing a really good job here with pumping out Ahsoka Tano content. So, but more importantly, one character in particular in the Star Wars canon I think will never be the same, and that is Count Dooku. So if you wanted to know like what the Count Dooku deal is, like what's going on there, I'm not going to spoil it, but like it is very satisfying and very well written, and does a really great job of portraying what I think Star Wars brings to the table in terms of a conflict that matters, right? Like Star Wars likes to have a lot of the time, I am the evil Emperor Palpatine, and I am evil because I'm selfish. I don't know. I want to be evil, and I think it's interesting to see like a very direct antithesis to that. I think it's very interesting to see, hey, I'm I'm the senator. I'm the senator of what's its face of this planet, and I'm just kind of a douche. I'm just kind of a douchebag, and I'm just gonna like bleed my planet dry of all of its resources, and like like I don't really care, like and like there are gonna be people who are gonna be like, oh, this is climate change agenda, this is agenda, blah 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 blah. I'll have you know that I have friends on both sides of the spectrum, and both of them were trying to say the same thing about the other side being forced down their throat. So what does that tell you about our polarized world climate in terms of geopolitical conflict? At least we can all watch Star Wars without disagreeing, right, guys? Right, guys? Another couple things they do that I thought that was really cool, again, without telling you what they are, is there's a specific character in Yaddle, the female Yoda, that they really dive into and really do a whole lot with in this show, which I thought was really interesting. And you might have seen me tweet on Twitter recently, but she actually doesn't speak with, like, the riddles that Yoda speaks in, so Yoda's just kind of doing that to be, like, an asshole, like I grew up on Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and I really, really, really enjoy seeing this era of Star Wars in particular. People are going to say whatever they want to say about the prequels, but I really, really, really enjoy the Clone Wars. I think it's my favorite era of Star Wars. So I think that a lot of these events in the Star Wars timeline that I'm about to mention maybe haven't been shown in a medium because they would be a little bit darker, similar to what happens in a lot of the episodes that we see here in Tales of the Jedi Season 1. There are definitely some dark events, like straight up. I'm not going to say when or what episode it happens in, but I don't think you get beheadings with a lightsaber in Star Wars The Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels, so or the Bad Batch. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I think that there's a level of dramatic gravitas that Tales of the Jedi has that the Clone Wars and Rebels and other shows like that didn't have. Clone Wars definitely brought it in a little bit more towards Season 6 and Season 7. Season 7, that final arc of Clone Wars, has just the best editing and the best, like, title design I've ever seen in any like animated TV show in terms of like actually making you care about it and cinematic value. I'm really, really excited to see Disney headed in this direction. I don't think everything needs to be live action, and I think honestly, making things live action a lot of the time creates the problem of like having to accept a new actor in the role, or you have to like kind of accept that there's a deep faked Luke Skywalker in front of you. So I'm really excited to see animated portrayals of these characters. I also like the voice actors for some of these characters more than I like their actual actors. No disrespect to Hayden Christensen, but Matt Latner as Anakin Skywalker, in my opinion, that's like who I hear. Now when I hear Hayden Christensen do interviews or I hear him in any other medium, I'm oh, he kind of sounds like Matt Latner from Anakin Skywalker from Clone Wars, you know. But I did write down a list of things that I would like to see in a season 2. So let's get right into it. I've talked for enough minutes already. So before I start this list, I would like to preface that every single thing on this list will be before the return of the Jedi era. The reason is, I think an entire show could take place on that era, on right before like in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. I think that we will definitely get a Ben Solo, Adventures of Ben Solo and Luke Skywalker show at some point. I think Disney would have to be stupid to not do an animated show akin to Clone Wars in that era. So, without further ado, let's get into my list. So, I want to see Obi-Wan meet Dexter Jester. Jexter, I think is his name, right? The guy with the 4 arms from Coruscant, that works at the diner. I want to know what's going on at that diner. I want to know how Obi-Wan knows him. What's going on there? What's Obi-Wan's underworld ties like? I want to know more about that. I think it's going to be cool to get an episode with Obi-Wan if we get one. I know Obi-Wan did just get his own show, but I don't think that they were going to do a flashback to before Attack of the Clones in his show. I think that's a really interesting untapped area, and I would like to see that. I'd also like to see Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan on Mandalore / how Obi-Wan met the Duchess for the first time. We all know that Obi-Wan had a love interest in the Clone Wars that was kind of forbidden, that he didn't succumb to the same way that Anakin did, because Anakin's a human. But Obi-Wan was able to push that aside, and obviously Darth Maul kebabbed his girl, so that didn't help either. But we also have a couple more events that I'd like to see. We've got Mandalorians versus Ancient Jedi. I think that would be incredible. I think Mandalorians versus Ancient Jedi, that might happen in The Mandalorian. We might get some kind of flashback, but I think it would be cooler to see the Mythosaur in animated. I think it would be cooler to see all the incredible beasts and the crazy world that would be Ancient Mandalore. And I think only in a show like this, that's an anthology show, can you really do anything like that. I'd also like to see Yoda as a Jedi Knight. I know that they're probably avoiding going that far back and a Yoda prequel to do like some kind of dedicated Yoda thing in the future. But I don't know. I kind of think that it could be cool to see Yoda getting his seat as a master on the council. Going that far back would be pretty sweet. Speaking of Yoda, I'd also like to see Mace Windu as a Padawan, training under Yoda. And I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he trains under Yoda, right? I could be wrong. I think Yoda trained him himself. But I'd like to see him kind of dealing with rage and the parallels between Mace and Anakin. We get so much important conflict between those two that I think it's kind of crazy that we don't have Mace's origin in any capacity. So I think Mace Windu could be a much more compelling character than he already is. I think he's kind of like a lot of the times, like recently, like it feels like he's kind of just getting screwed. They turn him into the jerk. But I think it's important to emphasize that this guy got here through merit, through being one of the most powerful force wielders of his entire era, through being one of the best lightsaber duelists of his entire era. And I think it would be really powerful to see him train that, especially underneath a master like Yoda, right? Like that everybody loves. I think that you have 2 slam dunk characters there to increase your property and make those 2 even cooler. That's about all I can think of right now off the top of my head. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other Jedi that I'd like to see covered in the future of this show, but I mean, yeah, that's all I can think of. So, yeah, hit like, hit comments, and leave a comment. What Jedi? What's the Jedi that you need to see the tale of? The tale. Oh, that doesn't sound right.